Good afternoon. I'm Assistant Chief James Beer. My last name is spelled Beere. What we want to cover today is to go over the violence that the city experienced this past weekend, particularly on Saturday. There were 3 homicides that occurred in 2 separate incidents. The first one was in West Oakland and it involved an encampment. We had 3 people shot. 2 unfortunately tragically passed away. A third person was treated for their wounds. Within 2 hours, we had another homicide in East Oakland. It appeared 2 groups of people exchanged gunfire, which resulted in 2 additional people shot. One was pronounced at the scene. Another individual was struck by gunfire, transported to a local hospital, and was later released. Also that we wanted to cover this press conference are the arrests that have been made in the East Oakland area along the International Corridor, where we know is known for high prostitution activity, and our efforts and operations focused to take those in custody that are fueling the demand for this commercial sex trade in our city. So Deputy Chief Shavy is going to talk about arrests of multiple suspects who we know are preying and victimizing the most vulnerable people in our community. So I'll turn it over to Chief Shavy right now.
Thank you, sir. So on September 6th, the Homicide, Ceasefire, and Special Resource Sections worked collaboratively to make an arrest in a homicide that occurred in the 1500 block of 12th Avenue on August 10th of this year. The incident appears to be a robbery that led to a murder. And the individual appears to have been set up by sex workers, and the victim, we believe, was a gentleman engaged in solicitation of prostitution. One of the things that's interesting about this case, or that is of note, is that one of the alleged sex workers that has been arrested and we believe to be responsible for this crime was also responsible for a similar incident that occurred on May 10th of this year. Arrests in both the May 10th, the May 20th and the August 10th incidents have been made of all of the parties that we believe are responsible for that crime. Finally, I'd like to talk about the amazing work that's being done by Lieutenant Marcos Campos in the Vice and Child Exploitation Units. The work that they're doing to address the community's needs as it relates to the rampant commercial trafficking that is taking place along the International Corridor. With the assistance of Ceasefire and Special Resource Officers, OPD has arrested 2 individuals in recent weeks, one for human trafficking of a minor, and the other for pimping and pandering, as well as supervision of an adult sex worker. That is also in line with the at least 5 to 6 weapons that have been recovered from those that are engaged in the sex work along the International Corridor. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Chief Beer for any questions. We can provide those names, not right now. They have, in those instances, they have been charged with accessory as well as homicide, and I will work with Mr. Chambers to get you those names.
How many total suspects independent?
I believe 6. So separate. So there's one. The common. There's one person in common in both instances. Obviously similar MOs, but the 2 males that are involved in these incidents are not the same.
Any additional questions?
What's the general sense of the last case you mentioned, with the trafficking arrest and pimping arrest? What are the general allegations there? Like what happened?
One instance, or excuse me, one of the individuals, we've heard the community, and we have made a concerted effort to address the human trafficking that's taking place along the International Corridor. And so with that, we have shifted our focus, while we're still focusing on those that are soliciting, so what some would call the Johns, and we have focused our efforts on those that are driving the trade. So the individuals formerly known as pimps, but now those that are called supervisors of sex workers. And so with that, we've identified a number of individuals. We've also observed another group of individuals that have been attempting to recruit or strong arm or even rob some of the sex workers, and that's how we've made a number of gun arrests down there.
Is this concentrated effort for International Boulevard? I mean, how many officers are dedicated down there? Is this a special like unit by chance? If we talked about just sort of the amount of resources that are coming in.
Yes. So our vice and child exploitation unit are solely dedicated to this. They have been assisted by the Bureau of Field Operations, so both East Oakland and West Oakland special resource officers, as well as supplemented where possible by some of the ceasefire officers. And we're also going to be working with outside law enforcement agencies, as well as maybe some federal partners to assist us in this effort.
And when did you start that?
We have been focusing on this for at least a month.
Actually, could I just add something real quick? So I think it's important to say, and along the lines of the previous question, it was imperative that we shift our focus to the people that are, they're driving this activity. And what we've noticed going into the summer was there was a direct correlation to the human trafficking activities in the international corridor related to robberies, obviously homicides, which we just discussed now, but the community's fed up. We've had this issue for decades in East Oakland. Unfortunately, the violence has been ramping up as of this summer. So, we're focused on intelligence-led policing and focusing on what's causing the issues. The community came forward. They're partnering with us. So it's not just the Oakland Police Department. This is a true partnership with the residents, the business owners, local, neighboring jurisdictions, state law enforcement, as well as federal law enforcement agencies are helping us. It's not isolated just to operations. It's being supported by enforcement operations to include our motors. California Highway Patrol has come in and helped us as well. And it's a complete overlap to ensure that we're not just conducting operations and taking people into custody, but maintaining it as well. That area is affected, like I said, not just by crime, but people driving crazy. Lives are affected. The neighbors can't get out. There's other city departments that have complained where they don't have access. And the other activities that are associated with the prostitution has led to quite a number of problems. So this is truly a comprehensive effort between the police department and the community.
I'm sorry if you said this, but when did, in the pimping and trafficking arrest, when did those when did those arrests take place? And similar to the question before, are you able to provide the names?
I can provide you the names at a later date. One of the arrests occurred on September 6th, and the other occurred just yesterday.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. Appreciate it.